Welcome to the second part of the Fitness Savvy Body Recomposition series. If you haven't checked out the first video as to why you should consider body recomposition and why it's probably good for you, then head on over and check out that video, then come back here. Because we're going to go over some cool stuff about the diet, so things like how to calculate your calories, calorie cycling, working out your macros, how much protein you're going to need. We've got a cool protein calculator and a free macro calculator for you to use to help with this. We're also going to look at the foods that I ate tons of when successfully recomping, what supplements I took, and the timing. So if you've checked out the first video, you'll know that I did 2 successful body recompositions. The first one back in 2017, I added over 8 pounds of muscle while losing more than 6 pounds of fat in a 3-month period. The second recomposition I did in kind of 2 parts. The first 8 weeks, I cut my calories a bit more aggressively, because as you can see from this picture, I was, pretty much very overweight. So I cut my calories a bit more aggressively, about 400 per day. But for the second half of the recomp, I stayed at around maintenance. The reason being, the first half, while I did recomp, I added about 1.7 pounds of muscle while losing about 8 pounds of fat. So yes, it was a successful recomp, but in comparison, the second 8 weeks, I added about 6 pounds of muscle while losing about 6 pounds of fat while I ate kind of near maintenance. Because we'll be cycling our calories, we want to look at the week as a whole, not just one day in isolation. If you don't already know how many calories you need per day, you can head on over to a TDEE calculator. That stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. You can whack in your details and get a good estimation of, how many calories you should be targeting per day, to stay maintenance. So maintenance is, obviously has its own, just maintaining your current weight. I've linked to this particular one in the description. It's pretty simple to use. I would just advise against using the protein suggestions at the bottom because they're completely ridiculous if you ask me. I will talk more about the protein later and the Fitness Savvy protein calculator. But for now, you can enter your details as metric or imperial. For the body recomposition, we want to put moderate exercise because we're going to be working out 4 times per week. So just whack in your details and see what it comes out with. So I'm going to put in the details of when I first started my recomp. I knew what my body fat percentage was, so I'll put that in here as well. So this tells me, in fact, let's just have a look and see what happens when you change your body fat percentage here. You'll notice that actually if you're a lower body fat percentage, then it's going to increase your daily calorie requirements. Again, I think that's a bit excessive with some of the calculations there. But as you can see from my stats, it says my total daily calorie requirements are 2412, so 2,400 if you round that down. Once we know our total daily maintenance calories, we now need to work out how many we're going to have on workout days and rest days. So you'll take your TDEE calculation, so mine was 2400, we add 10% to it by timing by 1.1, and that gives us our workout days calorie target. For rest days, we're going to take that same TDEE number and we're going to take 15% off. So if you're using a calculator, just times by 0.85 and that will give us our rest day calorie requirements. Now that we've calculated our maintenance calories, how many we need on workout days and how many calories we need on rest days, we need to work out our macros. We're going to start off here with protein. So as I said in my last video, I designed a protein intake calculator and we're going to take a look at that now. Okay, so firstly, we've based this primarily on lean body mass. So there is a box here that you'll see that says body fat known. If you don't know your body fat percentage, you can leave that as no. If you go down to the bottom and calculate it with that as no and you kind of mess with the body fat percentage, you'll just get the same answer. That will only change if you select this to yes. If you want to make this a bit more accurate, you can take some body fat caliper measurements or tape measure measurements, but just remember to add sort of 5 to 10% to that because they're going to be much lower than what your actual body fat percentage really is. So here's how we use it. You can select the metric, either pounds or kilograms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at pounds. I'm going to put my body fat known as yes. My training requirement is hypertrophy and strength, male, and that I'm restricting calories. And for the how often do you train per week, you should put this at 4 to 5 times per week because that's how often you're going to be training. I put in my body weight here and I'll put in my body fat percentage when I started the recomp, which was about 32%. So let's calculate that. It says I need 139 grams of protein a day. Interestingly, if you kind of put my height of 5'8" and weight into other calculators, you'll kind of see how much more it says than what it says here. You can see if I change the body fat percentage, let's just change the body fat percentage to say 20% body fat, then we've got 162 grams of protein a day. So obviously, you're leaner, you're going to be consuming more. We could even look at what happens if you're not restricting calories, because when you're not restricting calories, some of these studies suggest you don't need as much protein. So there you go, it goes down to 156 grams when you do that. So let's just quickly change the body fat percentage known to no and see what effect that has. If we click calculate, it comes out at 150. Let's change the body fat percentage to 32 again and calculate. It's still coming out at 150. So you can kind of see only if you change that body fat percentage known is that gonna have an effect. But yeah, so we do recommend kind of at least taking some tape measure measurements or some caliper measurements and adding 5 to 10% on there. So as you can see, the protein intake calculator suggests I need about 140 grams of protein per day. What we need to do here is then work out how many calories that is. So it's roughly sort of 4 calories per gram of protein. So we can times 140 by 4 and we get 560. So we kind of know how much of our daily calories is taken up by that. What will be really handy is this macro calculator that we've got here, which we're going to show you now. So it's a free macro calculator. You can head on over to use the link below and you can kind of get a copy of this to put in all your stats and statistics and your numbers. You can see once you know your TDEE number, you can put that in the top. And then now you know your protein number, you can put that in here. And as you can see, it kind of calculates everything. Before you put the protein in, you'll notice it just kind of allocates all the rest of the calories to carbs, because what's going to happen is we want to keep our fats at about 40%. And that sounds quite high, but usually, a lot of people that are recomping are probably carrying an extra bit of fat and usually have slightly impaired insulin response. So, kind of cutting your carbs down a little bit is probably a good idea there. So I kind of kept my fats up, eating good fats, lots of nuts, that kind of stuff is quite easy to do really. So if you know your fats are 40% and you know that your protein is 140 grams, then here it's kind of looking at the carbs. So this was my macros based on all the data that I put together. We can see what my workout day calories are, we can see what my rest day, because this automatically adds, the 15% takes the 10%, or adds the 10% takes the 15%, sorry. And that gives you that. So I mean, you can use this calculator, use the TDE calculator, and you should be able to get kind of all your body recomposition macros there sorted. So what foods did I eat while doing my body recomposition? Well, I'll share with you the ones I ate tons of. So I came to refer to it as the 3 C's, which is coffee, casein, and cashews. So I drank a lot of coffee. It's a good natural fat burner. It's a stimulant, so it's good if you train and fasted, which I did in parts of my recomps, but not others, which again, I'll share with you later kind of how that affected my results. Cashew nuts, I was never a big fan of nuts, but cashew nuts I got addicted to. On a macro profile, they're probably not the best because they're a little bit higher in carbs. I think walnuts are probably one of the best nuts you can have for this. They've also got a great balance between omega-6 and omega-3, which is something you want to keep in check. But I'm not a huge fan of walnuts, so I stuck to the cashew nuts to keep my fats higher on there. And casein protein. So you might be wondering why I'm talking about casein protein and not whey protein. So here is a study, and this is one of the first studies I looked into when looking at body recomposition. And they took a group of overweight police officers and split them into 3 groups. All 3 groups restricted their calories. The first group just restricted calories, they did nothing else. The second group restricted their calories and did resistance training and had a whey protein supplement. And the third group was the same as the second one, they did the resistance training, cut their calories, but they had casein protein instead. Now, interestingly, the best group was the casein group, who actually put on kind of twice as much muscle as the whey protein. So there's a couple of reasons this might be. That's because, if you're in restricted calories, you're probably eating less frequently, and casein is a slow release protein. So, that's going to be working in your favor. So when I designed the recomp, casein protein is kind of what I had there for that. Other things I ate a lot of broccoli and scrambled eggs. So even though we're keeping fats up, we want to keep the calories in check. So kind of on your lower calorie days, 1 egg with 3 or 4 egg whites with a bunch of broccoli, some mushrooms, fried mushrooms, some awesome meal, great, packed with protein, packed with really, really good stuff. So that was something else I ate a lot of while I was recomping. Supplements. What supplements did I take? Well, I've already mentioned casein protein, so that's my choice over whey. I'm going to link to another study actually, because there's quite a few that compare casein and whey protein. I think a lot of people want whey protein post workout, straight after their workout, get their protein working. But there are other studies that have shown that, it's no more effective than casein. So if you had to choose just one, I would go for casein protein, because that's going to kind of sort you out on the other elements. So other than that, the other supplements I took was a multivitamin. So it doesn't matter what you're getting in your diet, you're always going to be lacking in something. So a good multivitamin is essential. Creatine, I think anybody who's, even new to lifting's probably heard of creatine. It's like pretty much the most widely researched supplement, and it's proven, to be very, very effective. So, you always want to have creatine in your diet there. And the last one was omega-3 supplements. So I don't eat fish, so I got a vegan omega-3 supplement. I've linked to an article, a Fitness Savvy article that I wrote as well about omega-3s here, and that kind of looks into all the elements of why this is an important supplement, and also a study that looks at body composition of people taking the omega-3 supplements and how it improved body composition. So definitely want to be taking if you're doing a body recomposition. Supplement and meal timing. So the first study I want to draw your attention to is this one. So we've got a screenshot of it here. And this one found that when pre-sleep protein intake is combined with exercise performed the same evening, overnight muscle protein synthesis rates will be further increased. So for this reason, I was working out in the evenings, I was having my main meal after my workout, and I was taking a casein supplement before bed. Again, here is another study that was saying kind of 40 grams of casein protein before bed is optimal. So kind of both of them studies together gave me my reasoning for having a casein protein supplement before bed and aiming for about 40 grams. Another thing regarding timing is during the first recomp in 2017, I intermittent fasted, which means I was doing intermittent fasting, the kind of 16-8 method, having an 8-hour eating window. And I mean, I intermittent fasted, meaning I didn't do it every day. I tried to do it every day, but things would come up, and I think probably about 70 to 80% of the time I was fasting, and I got great results. During the second recomp, I decided obviously I'd carry on doing intermittent fasting for the first 8 weeks, but I cut my calories a lot more, and I only put on sort of 2 pounds of muscle. So when I brought my calories back up, I decided to spread my meals out a bit more evenly, because I found some more research as well. So there's some newer research out there that does suggest that more frequent meal timings is beneficial. So I thought I'd kind of try it with that, and actually that 8 weeks where I put on sort of 6 pounds of muscle while losing kind of 6 pounds of fat were the best results I'd seen. So this sways me more to the belief that actually more frequent meals are better. But intermittent fasting will affect people's hormone regulation in different ways. Again, I think it's more to do with what works for you to keep your calories in check, rather than kind of one that's going to be more beneficial than the other. You might want to do a similar thing. You might want to kind of recomp for 8 weeks trying it, and 8 weeks without trying it, take your measurements and kind of see what looks like it's working for you. And I think that's pretty much all there is about meal timing. Yeah, I was eating, straight after the workout, working out in the evenings, and that's pretty much kind of the main thing you need to know about that. So if you want to see the next videos, which are going to be the actual workouts, I'm going to take you through the actual workouts I did. It was an upper lower body split. I'll take you through the exercises, the rep ranges, everything that I did to succeed at body recomposition. So hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you there.